Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Gig App Worker Roundtable. This week we have no Michelle. I guess I'll say she's in night court again. I don't know if it's about her or whatever, but I'm starting to think she's a night court lawyer or maybe like one of the security people. I don't know. But she sure lives there a lot. So we have tonight we have Kim's Side Money Plans. We have Gig Work Mama. And we have the Rideshare Pimp, Tom Kelly.
The other Thomas.
And I want to say that tonight we're gonna talk about, but it's gonna be in a different way. We're gonna talk about the Uber Rideshare and Uber Eats transparency because, as you know, that law starts on Saturday. So, we're 30. Right now it's 7:09 here, so we're 29 hours away from that law starting where they have to follow it. But we'll get into that a little more. We're going to talk about the Lyft driver in Detroit. And both those two topics I have questions for that when I ask them, I want you guys to answer them as well, because I've been putting these together because of the pieces I've been doing. So these questions are specific to tonight. And then we'll see what else we can get to, because that might take us a little bit to get through it. But hi chat, hi everybody. Hope you're joining us. We stream this on 3 channels, you guys. It's on Kim's and Cheyenne's and mine, and hopefully at some point soon Tom's. Tom and I still need to talk because Tom has an idea for a show that I really liked, but he's had a lot going on, so we'll have to get to that. Okay. Last thing before we start is that 4 weeks from tonight, I think it's the 28th of February, is the 3-year anniversary of the Roundtable, and we will have hopefully Cheyenne and Tom. I have not asked them yet, but I'm guessing they'll be here. We're also going to have Hannibal. We're going to have John Dash Theory and Gary. That's a lot of fun. I think that could be a lot of fun. I'm going to try and make it something different too, like what we're all up to, what John Dash is doing, because he's doing something different, what Hannibal's doing, because they've moved on, but they're still have their hand in the gigs too. So we'll do something cool, and maybe some giveaways, maybe something fun. Who knows? But let's start off with this Uber thing, because here it is, and there's, out of all the states right now that are looking at pushing legislation this year, which is now pretty much all of them. They all have seen a way to make some money. I just saw today that Indianapolis is adding a fee to all Uber and Lyft rides that will go to their infrastructure, highway, and this, that, and the other. So that's going to be another fee to the customers. Do we think the drivers will see that too? So basically all the states are starting to see this, and either they're going for they might modify it, but either they're going for that Prop 22 model where it's, hey, we have some benefits for you that you can just get in the healthcare marketplace for the same price. So it's not a benefit. And the other benefits are just weak. I mean, they really don't, you can find comparisons that are better, and you're not counting on these companies. And also, many of these states go after a active time minimum wage. I have said so many times in the last week or two, and I'm going to stop saying it because I feel like a broken record, but there is no active time. There is real time only. Active time is literally a made-up term by these companies. I mean, it's just like everything else with these companies. It's just made up. It's a unit of time measurement that they made up. So to say, oh, well, I was active on, okay, well, that doesn't matter. How long were you on the apps? And you could be multi-apping, but add up all your time that you're multi-apping, and how much of that time are you, as Sergio said, utilizing? And if you find that I'm only utilizing half the time I'm out there, then I had to bring my head back around and think, then go, I had to go back to like my days in the bar and stuff. You might have to if you really love working the gig economy, you might have to work the days and times you work. Because I am a big advocate that if you go and find yourself working 50% of the time you're out there working and you like days, you might have to throw in some evenings or nights or weekends, because that should be, it should be like 70, 80 to 95% of your time is utilized. Otherwise, take some downtime. Don't work on the apps as much. Find those slots. Like if it's, let's just say 2 to 4. If it's 2 to 4 in your market, take it off. Take a walk. Go home for a minute. Get a chore done. Do something else other than sit there and wait, when day after day you know that is a time where it's going to be a unicorn miracle if you see something. That's just my advice.
See, I semi disagree with that, because there's many dashers and just regular gig workers that you could be home and you could be in an area that you can still receive orders. So you can still do what you need to do and still have your phone on trying to get whatever orders you're trying to get. So your active time and your dash time might be different just based off of how you do your work and where you're getting your orders from.
But what if you're trying to do a task? You know what? I need to get this done this week. Keep putting it off. And every week Sunday rolls around and I don't get it done. It takes about an hour, and it takes an hour of your focused time.
Then
you got to turn them off.
Yeah. Yes, you do. But you work it into your schedule the way that works best. You know?
Yeah, I guess part of it for me too is that I think there's a lot of health things going on with gig workers, and I'm concerned. I know Cheyenne talks about this. She actually does a lot of stuff on health, not related to gig work, even just in general. And I just think,
yeah, but I said it in my videos. A lot of people kind of burn the candle on both sides, like both ends. And you have to remember that you can't just be out there. You have to take those breaks. You have to. I even did one video where I was like, you have to walk around. Here are some exercises that you can do while you're inside of the car. Because even I noticed it when I was doing a lot of gig work, like my shoulders were hurting, my back was hurting. And I'm like, you got to get up. You got to stretch it out. Stand next to your car and just like stretch over it. There's different things that you can do to help your body, because just sitting there is not good. And then when you're just sitting there, what exactly are you eating? I even spoke about, what kind of snacks are you bringing? Are you just living off of energy drinks and chips? That's not healthy.
Energy drink, no joke. Energy drinks and chips are like $10 for one of each now. I mean, that's taken out of your earnings for the day.
That too.
Are you just wasting money, or are you making a sandwich? Are you bringing it with you? Are you doing something? But
I see what you mean too with how much time, like your utilization time that you're out there, because especially for me, that's part-time. This is why one week I did full-time and I was like, this is what people deal with. Like I was sitting in the car for almost an hour with no order. And I'm like, if I didn't have my computer and I was working on other things, this is time where I would just be sitting there doing absolutely nothing. And that's also when I started talking more about, okay, well, guys, either get more apps, start a side business, create some digital product, do something so that while you're sitting down in your car and there are no orders coming in, at least you can make money some other way. Because just sitting there, it's not, no.
Yeah. I mean, this wouldn't help the sedimentary lifestyle of not moving, but there's even work from home stuff. So, just little things you could do. Anyway, my point is I'm a little concerned about. I talked about it a long time ago, and I've kind of put it off for a while. But I'm getting concerned again about stress, health habits of how Cheyenne said. What are you eating? And even if you're doing that on the road, are you having a meal at home? I mean, a lot of you are younger than I am, even though I'm very young. But a lot of you are younger than I am.
It's hard not to laugh at that.
Did you really laugh at that?
I'm kidding. I'm joking with you.
Tom, I mean, you're doing rideshare again. What's your take on, or do you have a method to taking breaks, or like staying out for only certain stints, or what are you doing to?
So I leave the house sometime between noon and 1:30, and I head over to Space Center Houston. This is a secret. Nobody needs to know this, so don't tell anybody.
You just told the internet.
Oh, darn it. Head over to Space Center Houston, which is an awesome place to go for. I never wait more than 5 minutes for a ride. And the ride is almost always $25 to $45 going from Space Center Houston to downtown or the airports or something like that. And there's nobody else there but me. And it's awesome. So I do that, and then from wherever I drop that person off, I usually also, if I'm downtown, then I get in the downtown hustle for a little while, just at the airport, pick somebody else up. So I do that all until dinner time, and then I either head for home and call it a day, or I'll stop for an hour, and I hate to admit where I stop because Shannon will just laugh at me, but
Don't judge.
Well, now we gotta know, dude.
I know. Now I want to know.
I do Waffle House.
Okay.
Waffle House is awesome, dude. It's healthy too.
Waffle House, man, all the time.
Did you just say Waffle House is healthy?
Super
I
healthy.
think
It depends on who you ask.
I take my phone in and I watch whatever series I'm binging at the time for an hour and do my Waffle House thing. And I always order exactly the same thing in exactly the same way, and then get back out and knock down another hour or two and then head for home. It's my schedule every day.
But okay, so you're breaking it up a little. You're at least getting out of the car. Because I know some. I mean, I've been talking to some drivers lately who are sitting in their car for 15 hours a day, and their utilization rate's like 30% of the time.
But see, I'm always. That's, I guess, the wonderful part about living in Houston. If I go 10, 12 minutes without a ride, I think something's broken. I mean, it's like I call my wife. Something's happened. I just went 10 minutes without a ride coming in. It never ever happens. And because I'm diamond and all that kind of stuff, if I go to the airport, there could be 55 cars in front of me. I pull in and I instantly have a ride. So I never don't have a ride, and it's very easy. Because it's kind of, we've talked about this before. Maybe we ought to do a whole show on this sometime. There's something incredibly addictive about gig work.
Oh yeah,
it's I don't know.
It's like gambling.
It falls in the gambling family,
yeah, it does.
I think. And so it's very easy to leave the house at 12:30 and then look at my watch and it's 10:30 at night, and I'm like, dude, I just did 10 hours standing on my head. I mean, and there was nothing to it. And I could keep going, but my wife was like, "Where are you? Are you coming home tonight?" And it was like, "Okay, yeah, I got to go home." But if it wasn't for her, seriously, if it wasn't for my wife, I don't know. I'd probably just sell the house and stay in the car all the time and just make money. It's
You live in the car in Houston?
Yeah, well.
Couldn't you at least have a tough shed or something to sleep in?
Yeah, maybe. I'd have to have my dog with me. That'd be the only thing. That's.
Luckily, Tom has a wife, so that won't happen, guys. So don't worry.
Exactly.
So here we go, though. Okay, so Tom actually has a criticism of the podcast, and I love it. I love it when people criticize the podcast, and it's actually one that I hadn't heard yet. So I'm interested when we get there. Hold on, because I'm going to be interested.
Tom's ready. He's ready to go.
But I just want to lay the foundation real quickly in case you guys missed the piece we did this week. Which thank you everybody who watched the what is it? The average watch time for the views has been 27 minutes.
Wow,
and
that's amazing.
For a 2-hour not live premiere piece, like Kim can even tell you from a YouTube standpoint, that's pretty big.
That's huge.
I mean, some people come through and watch for 2 seconds. So I don't know. I thought it's one of the most impressive ones I've seen. And I thought the piece was really done well, but so in Colorado was it 2023? Kim was out here We had the town hall with Stephanie. Kevin Priola showed up, who's a senator. Stephanie's at the time was a House of Reps member, and she was already working on a bill. The early 2023, because this was summer, she put a bill together that was incorporating both the TNC and the DNC, the transportation and the delivery networks. That didn't work, and she had to split the bills. Senator Kevin Priola was against her bills. She ended up getting her bills split, and the DNC bill became law on June 24th of 2024. And the TNC law was sponsored by Kevin Priola because on that day, Sergio, Kim, and other people I was emceeing, so I really didn't have any time. I said hello to him, but I didn't have that kind of time. Kim did. But Sergio got him in a corner. Kim had a nice conversation with him. But it actually, I think that did make an impact. I think he was already starting to look into it a little more, but I think that had a major impact. But now this was passed in June. Uber knew about it. Uber has spent, as they say, 1,500 hours developing what needs to be developed to launch on Saturday. So it's already done. For a while, they were claiming, well, we'll have to put on all these development hours. You already did it. I just saw it in print, and even their lawyer said, yes, that we've done this. So they've put in 1,500 hours to have the app be transparent and do what it's supposed to, but they're still challenging this. On last Friday, they asked for an injunction, which they always do. Can we break this law until we get a court date? And then they would kick the can of the court date down the road. The judge was confused, or the judge was torn because he saw reasons on both sides. He did not give them their injunction, so they don't have a stay. So as of Saturday, the law kicks in. Now, the judge has said that early next week, he will give a final ruling on it. So we're not going to be waiting months and months like some of this does. Like by next week's roundtable, we will know what happened from this. Now, remember, DoorDash is showing transparency to the drivers, but what goes into effect on Saturday also will affect DoorDash. We'll see if they do it too. We just haven't heard. We don't know what Lyft's doing. This is Uber's lawsuit that we talk about, but all of them could not follow this second part that kicks in. So DoorDash is already showing the transparency to the drivers. So I see the tips, I see this, but who thinks that Uber will provide the transparency as of Saturday before they get a ruling from the judge, even though the judge said that they have to follow the law until the ruling? Who thinks that we'll get that and they will engage their 1,500 hours of work and reprogramming? Or who thinks that part of the judge's thing is to see if they're going to try and pull an Uber and just go, we're not going to do it?
I don't think.
I'm just curious. You don't think they'll do it? You think Saturday will come and it won't be there?
Mm-hmm.
Cheyenne?
I don't know. I kind of feel like they might. I don't know. I like Uber.
I mean, I feel like a little bit like they have to, because I feel like part of this judge's ruling is like, well, okay, yeah, I'll rule next week, but it goes into effect Saturday. And it's almost like if you don't do it, I'm definitely going to rule against you.
Like, I have a feeling they're going to do it just because they don't want to deal with, what was it that Thomas said? It's 1,000 per occurrence. Like that's a lot.
Yeah. $1,000 per, it is a lot. When you do the math of just here in Colorado, it's huge.
And I get it. Anonymous user says Uber always breaks the law, but this is I feel like there's a difference between like stealing tips and stuff that no one's going to know about versus having to be completely transparent and showing everything on screen. You can't hide that.
I'm just laughing at Gary's comment. No, you can't.
I know. I had to put it up there. Sorry.
Gary's right. Gary's been texting me, or he's said things in the premiere of the podcast this week. He was like, they already have all this done. They just need to flip a switch and show it. Again, what are those? What they didn't even need to say the hours. They just needed to say we already have this ready. Like, who cares what hours you put in? It's the law. You have to. Yeah, or I could also have friends order it too. I want to be working it because as a driver, I see the transparency on the offer, but yet I'm not, as of the first, I have to get a receipt at the end of the day. It was supposed to be after each ride, but they modified it to be at the end of a day for the driver. So at the end of a day, I have to have this full breakdown of everything. Tom, do you think on Saturday they'll do this and wait for the ruling?
I think they will, but I think they shouldn't.
Okay. And we're going to get around to like anything anybody wants to say on top of this, but should Uber provide driver transparency? I'll start with Tom on this one.
I was just about to ask Tom, why do you think they shouldn't?
Well, I mean, driver transparency. Which transparency are you?
Okay, I'm referring to drivers seeing what they're paid, what we're paid.
I already get that.
But I mean, in a complete breakdown, what's going to other things?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every ride I have that.
Okay, so we'll have to see what that difference is, because I know you can click it and go over and see it. But at the same time, and again, it applies to Uber Eats guys too. So if you're just thinking we're talking about Rideshare,
I've talked to many of my clients, many of the people in my car, and it matches. So there's no magic there. So I mean that's already there and already available for every driver in every market.
Yeah.
And
I don't know what that change will be then for the driver.
There won't be change.
Well, it's going to be some kind of you're going to get an email compilation that's going to be different than it is.
So right now you don't see hidden tips, Tom?
Yeah, I do. I see everything.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Not
right now, Tom can
like
click over and he can see what the rider paid.
Yes. I see what the rider paid.
That's something that's not that new, but it's kind of new. Yeah.
I can see everything that I want to see. What I don't want is I don't want my riders to know how much I got paid. But this is what's going to happen in Colorado now.
So, let's go to that. So, should Uber provide passengers and Uber Eats customers transparency, Tom?
No. It's none of your business how much. What Uber and I have worked out, if I don't like it, I'll quit. Okay?
Sure.
Whatever Uber and I have worked out is between me and Uber, and it's none of your business. And I don't want it affecting my tips or anything else. Whether I made, and look, Steve, one of the things that I'm going to take exception to on your thing is you guys don't exaggerate. There is no such thing where there's $100 ride and the driver only gets $20. That doesn't happen.
I don't know that that's what we said, but
it is. And you've got one $30 and the driver only gets 10 and all.
I mean, we know of 30% to the driver. We know of that.
That is not what I see.
Right. It's probably not what you see, but it does happen often too. 30% to the driver is not unknown at all.
I disagree.
Well, I mean, I've seen screenshots from all around the country of it. So
recent?
Yeah.
I would love to see them.
Okay.
I don't think that's happening. And on top of that, okay, so let's say, and guys, I have a different perspective because I was in big business. I was an executive in a big company and all that kind of stuff. If I'm a major stockholder in Uber, if Uber doesn't sue Colorado for this, I'm going to go wholly crazy. How dare you not sue Colorado on something like this? Do not put out this kind of information. Uber would be completely irresponsible if they didn't sue, and they should wait to the last minute to try to get the injunction, because that's how you stop these kinds of things.
Even in the lawsuit, when it states what the drivers paid compared to what the customers paid, even in the lawsuit, there's a 35% example. They state one, and they state, but what you don't know is what else is going on. So even they're aware of it. It's very common. I'm glad it's not happening to you. Here's one problem that maybe some people don't know is that
You're not addressing to what I'm saying though.
What?
I don't want the client to know what I'm making. I think Uber has every right to sue Colorado and say we don't want to do it this way, and Colorado can say no. But I think to me the idea that somehow Uber is evil because they're suing Colorado to do something that they don't have to do in any other state. Again, if we were the executives there, of course we'd sue. Of course we would sue. And we would wait to the last minute on purpose to try to make it an emergency injunction. You don't
right. Which they're used to getting, but they didn't get here. Colorado actually gave the opposite answer of California. They, unlike California, who in the 11th hour said, fine, we'll get Prop 22 on the bill in November and you don't have to deal with it till then. Here we've said, no problem, leave.
Now, I watched the whole thing. I was driving and listening to it, but I watched the whole thing. But I understand. Listen, drivers need to have full transparency, which is what a lot of this is about, is being transparent with everybody. I personally don't really think it's our business as a driver to know what Uber is getting paid. That's the part that I'm like, yeah, I don't really see that. I don't see how that affects me as a driver. How much of the cut Uber gets. I feel like, and I think Chris is the one who kind of said it best throughout the whole entire thing, is that, there's no really company out there that really shows exactly how much it's nobody's business to know how much a company is getting paid out of the cut.
I think, here's one thing that I didn't get to fit into that piece. But so Stephanie and I have been through what's being used in this court case. And so here's one of the things here's one example. There's a few of these, but here's one. We in Colorado and on federal level, both, we subsidize rides for Uber and Lyft. Everybody, even if you don't do accounting, you've heard of a balance sheet. Everything has to balance. So if us, the taxpayer, are subsidizing rides, that has to be transparent. So what, are they just going to show that part then? Because they're taking tax money to subsidize rides. Where's that going? So there are some people who really care about the full breakdown of where their money's going.
I guess I care as a driver what's in it for me, right? I care what my base pay is. I care what my tip is. I care what I'm getting. Other than that, I'll be honest, I don't care about any other breakdown besides what's in it for me and what I'm getting as a driver.
I absolutely agree. And Steve, okay, so how much exactly, when they're doing food stamps, how much did that carrot really cost?
I don't know. Did you get it through Instagram? Probably got jacked up a
triple. We're going to subsidize, and we have to explain everything to subsidize and exactly how much profit the farmer made. I mean, you're going to do it. You got to do it across the board for everything and everybody.
So, Tom, if you heard me though on the podcast, I mean, I agree with you on a lot of levels, especially being the independent contractor I am. But as you know from doing Driver Nation all that time, we always said that the gig economy is like a hybrid independent contractor. It's just this undefined nebulous that's like, what? I don't get it. But yet they call us independent contractors. So now Colorado is saying, fine, then follow independent contractor law to the T. But at the same time, this is something that hasn't been dealt with. I'm not saying that I think the rider needs to do it. I do know for a fact or the passenger, but I do know for a fact part of it is Colorado is getting ready to audit Uber on a quarterly basis. And they have said what I've said. In different words, we don't know how to audit them. We don't know how to get into that algorithm, but we sure as hell can compare receipts. So they can take not having to go to you, Tom, or the customer, but they can pull all the customer and driver receipts, match them up, and fine them $1,000 on each instance that does not match. Why don't these match?
Fine. And if they want to spend their time doing that, I got no problem with it. That's not something that requires my rider to know anything about how much money I took home out of their ride.
Yeah. I'm not, I'm a little torn on the passenger one too. Cheyenne, what's your take on it? Like
So
you get it now. So we have the deactivation thing. Nobody seems to be in opposing that. Everybody seems to be on board with that. A human review of a panel of 12 people who actually review a deactivation if you request it. That, to me, that's wonderful. And I would hope nobody's arguing that one, because
12
too many
is
people.
excessive.
Huh?
Why 12?
Because they have like drivers that there actually is a union member or two on there who I know is trying to get their foot in the door, but there's a lot of things going on.
12 is huge.
I mean, in every independent contractor thing I've done, I agree with Tom. Look, I get a proposal, or I send a proposal, or I get a bid. And it doesn't, like, the laser company or the pyrotechnics company or the lighting company never discloses what they're making to me. They never say, we're making 50 grand, but here, we want to hire you on to do the show for 5. They don't tell me that. They just say everything that I need. And I'm talking full details. Here's your flights. Here's your hotel. Here's your per diem. Here's your pay. Here's how many days you'll be gone. Here's what we're going to be, what's required, the full scope of the job. And it's just, do you want it or not?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm used to that. That's fair.
And I guess, Steve, I guess my number one reflex in all of this, though, is I'm hugely a traditional federalist in the sense that I don't want government coming to save me. And, that I'm sorry, I know that's exactly against what Stephanie said, that if we don't have the government come in and save us, then they're going to take advantage of us. I don't agree with that.
Well, I'm not big government at all. So.
Government has never saved me. They're not going to save me. I don't want them to try to save me, because every time they get their hands in it, it just gets worse. It's between me and the government, me and the Uber. If I don't want to work for Uber, I'll quit working for Uber. Sure. Right now, I'm making good coin. I'm having fun. I work when I want to. I don't work when I don't want to. It's all working out for me. Why do I have to have the government get in anything more than me paying the taxes that I owe them? I mean, outside of that, I don't need the government.
So we have Gary input here so you guys think the customer history should be just show a total payout, no breakdown at all. How does that stop Uber from cheating people?
How are they?
Yeah, I read that. I didn't understand that. What do you mean no breakdown at all?
I think Gary's saying it's a dynamic pricing, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, none of us have a dynamic credit card. We don't have a credit card that can be 5% APR or 90. Just depends if it's surging or not. I think Gary's pointing out that our surge is real. I mean, could they create fake ones? Could they be creating it to the customer and saying, oh, it's surging, you got to pay twice as much, and then to the driver just showing this?
And if they need to do that, that's fine. They don't need me and the customer to be in the middle of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Marion. I saw Miriam's comment. There it is. If a passenger for Uber, I honestly don't give a damn how much the driver makes. Yeah, exactly. But on that same note, what I want to say is, I honestly think after all these years and all the money Uber wastes on lawsuits and fake autonomous and flying vehicles and all the BS, they're a simple dispatch company at the end of the day. They might be taking a bigger portion than we're happy with, but at the same time,
So do what do the guy said that was on your podcast. Get your own customer list and build it out yourself and do it that way. I do some of that too.
Yeah. Private rides are becoming huge.
So why don't they make it a little bit more simpler? Instead of saying this is exactly how much the driver is getting paid, why don't they say, okay, tips 100% goes to the driver. And then the fees, whatever the fee totals are, $3 of it went to the driver, or so-and-so went to, what I'm saying? A percentage, opposed to this is exactly how much the driver made. You know what I'm saying? It's more itemized opposed to This is
Well,
a
here's
But then
good-
it's
here's my
fluctuate.
comment after all the years of
It'll
transparency
fluctuate,
warning is at this point, I've asked a lot of people here that are passengers, and I've said, if this plays out, how do you care? And they said no. And I asked them even further, if you saw the driver pay, would it make any difference to you? Most said no. Some said, well, and I gave them some numbers. You know, if you saw this and you paid this, what would you do? And these are bar people and stuff who leave at 2 a.m. And they said, well, if I saw the driver was only paid that much, I'd tip more. At this point, we might be at a point where the transparency argument's just been going on so much, and we know it costs Uber tons of money. They spend so much money fighting being transparent. I mean, and so there's another fight too that needs to be built in, and then we can continue. But also realize that at the same time, Derek Kashashawi is making comments this week about how there's a decade left for drivers, and then it's autonomous. Well, for every year I've known, it's next year it's full autonomous and the drivers are done. Now he's saying a decade. So the problem there is investors have been making a fight saying, we need to know how many drivers, because they see their breakdowns in the earnings call, but they don't see how many drivers, how many are full-time, how many are this. And they want to, there's investors, a big group of them that want to know, are the drivers making a living wage? Because if not, and autonomous is 10 years away, we will never see a profit. So I guess Cheyenne, now I guess what is your take on this whole thing now? You're in Canada. You're not dealing with this, but what do you think?
Yeah, we're not dealing with this. But so here's the thing. I also don't care what the driver's making, and I can understand why we wouldn't want the customer knowing what the driver's making, because then that could definitely affect our tips. Because let's say it's like, I don't know, an order that's been sitting there for a while or something. So then Uber goes and bumps up the price, or DoorDash bumps up the price so that we can deliver it. A customer is going to see that and they'll be like, well, I'm not going to tip then in that case, because they're making a lot of money. So I don't think the customer needs to see it, but I think on our end, if the customer doesn't see it, how exactly are we going to see and make sure and validate that we're getting all our tips, that Uber is not doing anything shady, that DoorDash isn't doing anything shady? Because you did say there is that checks and balances that's going to be done afterwards by like auditors or whatever. So how is that going to work if, there's not transparency on both sides?
I don't know. I guess what'll really happen, so we can move on to this other topic, because I do want to get through this other one, is that we'll see next week. We'll probably see what happened this weekend. Did it happen on Saturday? And on Thursday, Thursday night, we'll know how the court case ended. That's gonna be a big deal, because this judge is torn. I've read some of the things he's thinking, and he's torn on this. But yeah, so I see a lot of comments. You guys make sure that you're keeping the comments clean. I mean, nobody sucks if they don't agree with you. We're just having a conversation about different opinions here. This is what happens, and I'm glad we are. I like having these conversations. So, but we're going to move on to this topic. And most people might have seen it. I think Kim hasn't seen it. I don't think Tom's seen it, oddly. And usually these guys have seen it. But we're going to talk about this story, and it's more of the reality. I've seen some people doing reaction videos to this where it's more joking. That's not what this is. And I have a few questions that I want to roll down for this. So we're going to watch a 2-minute video, and I want to get everybody's take on this after this. And you don't have to do rideshare to do this, or to have an input on this.
So you really telling me I'm too busy to get in your car?
Deja Blandings recorded it all. Her Lyft driver pulling up only to turn her down.
I was too big, and his tires, something about his tires. I asked him, what do I have to do with your tires?
This happened January 18th. The 29-year-old Detroiter was headed to a Lions watch party, only she never got there.
So you telling me I can't get in the Lyft because I can't fit in your car?
Yeah, you need to order a bigger car.
What make you think I can't fit in a car?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The driver told her she needed to request an XL car.
I was embarrassed, and I felt some type of way about it, you know.
She's hired a lawyer and is suing Lyft.
Well, from a legal standpoint, it seems like obvious discrimination. The Elliott-Larsen Act, which is Michigan's Civil Rights Act, specifically protects people from weight discrimination. And the driver here turned down her ride because of her weight.
Deja says this experience has scarred her.
I haven't really left my house since that.
She hopes this lawsuit will change how people treat others of all sizes.
Shouldn't have to pay for extra for a Uber XL.
While Lyft does not comment on pending litigation, they did send us this statement saying, quote, Lyft unequivocally condemns all forms of discrimination. We believe in a community where everyone is treated with equal respect and mutual kindness. Our community guidelines and terms of service explicitly prohibit harassment or discrimination. Reporting in Detroit, Jacqueline Francis, Local 4.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
Okay, Tom, you do rideshare, so I'll start with you, go to Cheyenne, and then Kim on this one. What would you have done?
Well, the only issue for me there would be, and I do pick up people of different sizes all the time.
All the time.
And matter of fact, night before last, I picked up a guy who had just had surgery and dry retched into a bag all the way back to his home, which was some 90 miles away. It was a rough ride, but I was happy to take care of him at the end of the day, you know, and make sure he got in safely and all that kind of stuff. It's part of what you do. The only issue I would have here is I'm not sure my seatbelts would fit her. I don't have an extender.
That's what I was just going to. That's one of the things I had in here. Does every rideshare driver have a seatbelt extension?
I don't.
Yep. I don't think any do, or if they do, I think it's such a small percentage.
Yeah, I have had somebody as heavy as 500 pounds in my car, and he passed out the moment he got in the car and slept for 45 minutes until I screamed at him that we were at his location. And he'd been eating sushi and drinking sake for hours, apparently, ahead of time. And I was so scared. You know, if somebody throws up sushi in my car, I'm done. I'm done forever. Yeah. I got a weak stomach. But, you know, independent contractor, that's a great point. You're an independent contractor. But at the same time, okay, so you're an independent contractor. So can I not pick up Shanna because she's black?
Well, so and again, there are a lot. Don't watch the reaction videos from other people, but there's a lot of news that are like 10, 12-minute things that you could watch on this. That, like Gary mentioned, they didn't mention her actual weight. That go a little deeper on this, and that's one of the things that the lawyer claimed was he brought up race. He's like, you can't do this because then you could say you don't want to. But here's my thing. Number one, first of all, if you are a driver, this went a little deeper too. The driver actually told her that, like, one of the things he said, now it was taken a little bit out of context because he was trying to be very nice and he's not, you can tell he's from somewhere else. And English is not his first language, but he said that it was too much weight on his tires. Now, see, right there, I think you said too much. As a rideshare driver and an independent contractor, you could just pull up and say, I'm sorry, I have to cancel this ride. And if she says why, I'm sorry, I have to cancel this ride. Just repeat yourself and leave.
Yeah, Mike Don't Care has it right. If you really feel that way, just, shut your mouth, cancel the ride, and drive on.
Yeah.
Like I said, my only concern would be if she can't buckle up in my car. Well, first of all, that's against the law in Texas, and secondly, it's just a safety issue. That would be my. I drive a Honda CRV. It's not a huge car. It's okay. I just don't know if she'd fit or not. I don't know.
So she's a Detroit rapper that is completely unknown. Nobody knows about her at all. This happened. She's in every news in the nation right now. So there are a lot of people claiming that she did this, and there are people who have said, I wonder how many Lyft drivers just gave her a ride before she got the lawsuit she was looking for. And I can hear that point. Like, you know what? I'm not famous. Let's get famous. Let's get me famous. Let's make a. But what's going to happen in turn is the driver has been let go. She's suing Lyft and the driver. And we know that a driver can't really. I mean, how's the driver going to afford that lawsuit? What was that? A $4, $5 ride? I mean, again, I'm with Tom. If you don't have, I mean, if you need to give examples and you don't have a seatbelt extender, I mean, maybe you do a lot of ride shares and let people not have to have their seatbelt on. But, you know, a lot of these states you're supposed to, hopefully you are. And if you don't have an extender, you're right. I mean, airplanes would charge her double.
Well, it's interesting you should mention airplanes because I happened to be sitting next to somebody on the flight when I went to Chattanooga last week that needed the extender. And
Right.
it was kind of embarrassing for everybody, but they were used to it. And when the flight attendant was doing the example and everything, after they couldn't pull away from the gate like they normally do because they had to do that first because that was the extender that they gave the woman who needed the extender. And so everybody knew what was going on. It was kind of obvious. And
Yeah. So to this comment, though, see what I'll say here, Colonel Angus, is you say never lie, cheat, or steal, nor tolerate those that do. The driver did the correct thing. See, maybe he did do the right thing, and he is an independent contractor. It is his vehicle, but it's like with the police. I mean, the police even tell you this can and will be held against you in a court of law. So it's like, don't say anything more than you need to. If you know, first of all, you can drive away and cancel the ride. But if you do come face to face with something like that, I mean, it's like a drunk. I'm not letting a drunk in my car like Tom was talking about, or there might be other issues too, you know, like who knows?
I don't know.
And that's a right you're afforded, but just don't get into details. Don't say that your tires can't hold her.
yeah,
I don't know. I say if it was, I don't do rideshare, so I feel like I'm a little out of my league on this one, but I say just let her get in and make her make that decision if she can fit comfortably in the car or not. But not only that, but my question is why was she videoing the whole thing? Most people
Exactly.
don't, you know what I'm saying? Most people don't take an Uber and says, oh, let me get on my phone and video the whole entire thing. Like,
exactly. You can tell she's holding it like at her waist too.
But I think it also depends on what happened before, right? Because you can tell that the conversation has already started. And this generation now, everything is like you see it on TikTok. Everything is, the phone is out, they're recording everything, and you're getting it like 2 seconds into the conversation. So you don't even know what happened before. So to say like, you know, maybe she planned it, maybe she didn't. I wasn't there, so I can't really say anything. But I can see her being like, what do you mean I'm too heavy for your tires, and pulling out her phone. 100% I could see that. I could see that happening because I'm sure this is not the first time that she's had some type of comment or something given to her about her weight. So in this day and age, I would not be surprised that he said the comment and she's like, okay, all right, I'm going to put you on TikTok, or I'm going to put you on whatever. I'm going to put you on blast. So she took her phone and she recorded it. So I don't think there was like, oh, let me record this and see what he's going to say. I don't think it's that.
This is a Camry. And I do want to point out that even what Kim said, I agree with all of the logic there until the point of Kim. Now, if you are doing rideshare, do you have a seatbelt extender? I don't. Yeah, exactly. Tom doesn't.
Exactly.
Like we just don't have them in our car. So it's like she can't. I don't know if you have a seatbelt law.
I don't know. I guess I grew up in a world where, and I was taught that if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it.
You don't say anything at all. Yeah.
And I feel like that's like proof of exactly what happened here. If you don't have anything nice to say, just don't say it at all and deal with it that way. And I feel like we've gotten away from that over the years, and I wish a lot more people would exercise that.
Yeah.
No,
I would have. I really just feel like it was an overshare. He should have just. It's true. He's an independent contractor. It is his vehicle. If something does happen, that is his shocks, his everything that he would have to take care of. So I do not fault him for not letting her go into the vehicle. However, I feel it was an overshare on his reasons why. It should have just been.
I mean,
like,
I do B2B, and I put in major heavy stuff. I take some very light loads too, but I take some big heavy loads that pay well.
Yeah.
So I see that up front, and I know that I'm more weight than her. I've taken more weight than her many times. I've taken 900 plus pounds of paint. So I mean, like but the seatbelt thing is a big thing. That's a safety issue.
Well, so Bubba Sue makes a good point there in the last comment, Steve. I heard that, and I thought, okay, well, that's interesting. I don't know if Texas has that law. I've never heard of that here in Texas, but that's interesting. So, but I would still think that safety issues, if you can't provide a safe ride for your rider, they shouldn't be in your car. Yeah. And that's about car seats. That's about seat belts. That whatever. Like Gary said earlier, you can put 10 or 15 people in your car. It doesn't mean it's safe.
Right.
I can put a lot of people in my car if everybody sits on laps and all that kind of stuff and be silly about it. But that's not safe. So and ultimately, as the driver, you are responsibility for the safety of the people in your car.
Right.
And so if you can't drive them safely, I don't care. I mean, okay, so if it's a little kid with a parent getting in my car and they don't have a car seat, I'm sorry, I'm a hard no.
Oh yeah, it's Uber teen.
Uber
teen is a perfect example too.
That's a whole bit different thing, but
just the car seat one is a serious one.
Okay, so and why? Because it's a safety issue.
Yeah.
So if this is a safety issue, I get it and I support him. If he just doesn't like big people, that's his problem. Let her in the car. If I don't.
It really didn't sound like that though. I didn't take that away.
If it was a safety issue, it should have been communicated
that
way, not in the manner that it was presented.
But it shouldn't have even been. I don't even think he should have said it's a safety issue. I'm of the opinion, keep your mouth shut, dude. Just say I'm going to cancel this ride. I'm sorry. I mean, it sucks. You might. It's just that's my view as protection for you gig workers. Do you? But
no, I think it depends on what the reason was. So his reason, you can fully see his reason was that he didn't want to take someone that was big. In that case, don't say anything. If it is a safety issue and that's what he's thinking about, then I totally see that he can say, well, unfortunately, I do not have a seatbelt extender.
Yeah. And I heard what Tom was and about Tom. I mean, I don't know how often, Tom, you see this, but here in Denver, it's not infrequent. It's very frequent that people try and bring somebody that needs a child seat into the car.
Oh, it happens all the time.
Without a child seat. They're just like, oh, it's fine. And you're like, it's not fine.
It's not fine. I told you I did it once and I felt really bad about it. And again, the only reason I did it was literally just a couple of blocks. But when I got done with it, I thought, but I went against something that I said I would never go against. And I let him do it anyway. And I just, in a way, it was good for me because it got me to never do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, again, it's your car. You're an independent contractor. You're being passed an offer, and obviously that's not part of the offer you'll see. I agree with a little bit of the fact that I think it was a little bit of a setup. I think that maybe she had tried this. Maybe she tried it with 10 other Uber or Lyft drivers first, and they all took her, and she's like, damn it. Almost like she was waiting for this. Let's get that guy who lets me go viral. Because that's not that uncommon of a thing anymore. Everybody wants to go viral for something. Let's go viral.
Oh, yeah.
And so maybe that's her way of picking. Because again, I don't know anybody that's ever heard of this person. I've asked a lot of people. I don't know. Nobody's even ever heard of her. So now they have. So, I mean, did it work? Maybe.
Well, thanks to you, Steve, because you just told thousands of people about her. So,
well, I mean, if you Google news Uber right now, it's the only thing that comes up.
Really,
that's it. It's the only thing. It's every story. But so I guess, yeah, what the last thing I had to say on it was, why doesn't she have a larger vehicle selected too?
Well, that's what he told her, apparently.
Right, but without him telling her. Why? I mean, like, if she wasn't,
she's being cheap. She said it, but she fully said it. Why should I have to pay more? So she's being cheap.
Right, but I mean, if she went on an airplane, she's going to pay twice as much.
Yeah.
She probably would have to get 2 seats.
So exactly. I mean, I hear that I'm from Michigan. I hear that there's a law. Not all states have this law, by the way, about discriminating against weight. In fact, a lot don't. We were looking into this, and a lot don't. But I get that there's a law about that. But at Detroit Airport, there's a law, or that law doesn't apply, because if you're too big, you need 2 seats. You're paying for 2 seats.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm of the opinion, just keep it simple, stupid. Kiss, and just say, I got to cancel this ride. I mean, she can call another driver and let them deal with it. I know it's not the best solution, but
yeah, according to what I just pulled up, Michigan is the only state in the United States with an explicit law that prohibits weight-based discrimination.
Oh, wow.
However, other states and cities have taken steps to protect people from weight discrimination, but the only one with an explicit law is Michigan. It's interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's my thing on it. I don't know. I'm it's confusing because this guy now, he's been deactivated. Lyft she slapped a lawsuit on Lyft, which will probably settle out of court, but she also slapped a lawsuit on the driver. And I can guarantee this driver ain't going to be able to afford that lawsuit.
Yeah, that really sucks that he was deactivated though for this.
Yeah. And again, he said the wrong words, but I mean, like, the different videos I've heard, he wasn't being mean. At one point she's screaming at him going, I can get in there. And he's going, I don't think I wouldn't, you can't. And, you know, I mean, I guess that's part of the question too. Can she? I don't even know.
Well, I'm sure she can. I'm sure she's driven in, like, it's a regular car, like a regular sedan. So I'm sure she's driven in a regular sedan before, but most likely didn't buckle up, right? Like, a lot of people just sit in the back and they're like, oh, wait, we got to buckle? Like, yeah.
I mean, this is a comment that's been coming through a few times. So, like, you know, and Kim said it too. You know, I got to say, I feel like part of this was a scam or a play or something. And I feel bad for the driver. I do find it to be really, I don't know. I'm surprised, you know, like with the child seat, it's actually in Lyft's TOS, or, you know, it says you cannot take your child in the car without a passenger seat, but there's nothing in there about this, you know? So I don't know, but there isn't about discrimination. So in Michigan, this is a discrimination clause, and in every other state it's not. So I don't know. I just found it to be very interesting.
It's thought-provoking for sure.
Because we are independent contractors. You do have the right to, and I guess that's the point I really want to make about it. It's that you do have the right. It's your car. You have the right to it's like a liquor store or a bar or a restaurant. You have the right to refuse service to anybody. But what I would say in this situation is be very careful to use the minimal words, and just, if you feel something, just do it. But don't explain it to them. We live in a world where people they're lawsuit happy. They're looking to just sue, you know? I even wonder, like, you know, having been in Detroit many times myself, many times, the cabbies, even though they have a different situation and probably have to take you, they don't take you half the time just because. They're like, dude, I'm not picking up there.
Well,
You know what I mean?
if the driver, and I'm no lawyer, but if the driver got deactivated from Uber, couldn't he countersue with lost wages, that type of thing? So
Sure.
it's like lawsuits going on
From
at
Lyft?
the same
Yeah,
time.
for sure.
I don't know if he'll win, but absolutely you can countersue.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if, I don't know if, first of all, he's going to hire an attorney to file a countersuit. I think the attorney would tell him it's going to cost you this much. Do you really even want to? And again, at this point,
Depends on whether or not the attorney wants to get his face all over the internet. And there are attorneys who take on stupid lawsuits all the time.
Well,
Yeah.
to me, it would also depend on how much she's suing the actual driver in the lawsuit. He might actually. Need a
I'm
lawyer
wondering
anyway.
if it she almost had to bring in the driver to make the point. But at the same time, the reality is, I feel like she's even just suing Lyft. She knows she's not going to get anything from this guy. She's going for the Lyft money. But I feel like she has to bring it in because she has to be able to say, well, this is the guy that did it, so I'm suing him too. So maybe we'll see that dropped. I don't know. I found it interesting. I think that everybody, when I see these kind of things, I think everybody should think about them because this could happen to you. What are you going to do? Are you gonna take the person? No problem. Are you gonna? And if you do, are you gonna break a seatbelt law?
And this is
and
why
if you get in an accident and they're not in a seatbelt and they get hurt and they still sue you, it's just messy all the way around.
And now this is why I don't transport people. I transport food.
Yeah. And if I get to a location and it looks sketchy, it's staying right there in the front. I'm not going in.
I mean, I've picked up people from I've picked up 300-pound men from the airport who are here on business. So that's 900 pounds. I mean, so it's not about the total weight. It's a safety issue. And again, the seatbelt extender is a big deal. I don't know. Maybe it's a rideshare thing. Maybe again, people that don't do rideshare don't think that way. But if you usually say to your passengers, hey, can you make sure you buckle up, please? And then, what if she can't? Now what? You don't have an extender. Yeah, I hear you. And Gary, I hear you. It's weight distribution. I get it, but that's still. Anyway, I heard the bell. That is the bell for. That means that's our. What is it on when you're a cowboy? That's the food bell or the chow bell or whatever it is.
Chow bell.
Yeah, because I got to eat too. So that's the chow bell. And, that's a night. We'll have results on this Uber transparency thing next week. And I think that's going to be really quick. I was expecting this to drag out for a couple weeks, months, whatever. But they want an answer here. And so shut up, Gary. I guess that's it for the week, guys. Remember, the 27th. Thursday the 27th is the 3-year anniversary. It's going to be fun. Don't miss it. Mark it on your calendars. But that's a wrap for the week. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. Until next week, be safe, earn smart, and
Kindness is always free.
always free.
Have a good night.